So you have to be fair to yourself. Don't just let yourself down, and yeah, just try to be happy. Just that's what you can do to yourself. And if you want something, just go for it.
A lot of microaggressions against women in CS. Um, Basically, if you take a hard class, people will be like, oh, good luck, I hope you do well because that class is really hard. Whereas if they see a guy taking it, they'll be like, oh, you'll be fine.
I think that as a woman, you get a little more challenged by your peers, whether or not they realize it sometimes, I think. And you have this self-consciousness of, I'm representing a group to this person. Like, I might be the only woman this individual has interacted with, and if I do badly, they're going to think all women in this field suck.
As a woman, one of the things I've learned is to never stop talking when you get interrupted, because usually if someone cuts me off, I just stop and I let them speak. But you know, if we're all in the room, we're brought together by Apple to discuss, debate, and collaborate, and everyone is just contributing their ideas. And I think from my childhood and just being raised in a conservative family, I think I would be like, you know, speak when spoken to. I mean, not that drastically, but it was kind of there. Whereas now I've kind of evolved to say, you know, I'm going to keep talking, and I'm not going to stop just because you interrupted me. That's something I definitely had to learn how to do.
Get used to it, because if you are in the CS or engineering field, you see how fewer women you have around. You get over it. So initially that might affect people, but it's just you get over it easily. It's just that you have to build the confidence.
Not there, then like I'm the only black person and the only girl. But it's like, it's kind of like whatever. I'm just like, do I know the material or not? Like that's what I'm most insecure about, is like saying the wrong thing, but not because I'm black or because I'm a girl.
They need to see role models. We have students complain to us, why don't you have more female faculty? It's not that we don't offer females, you know, every year we've offered females. We had 2 females last year. I was so hoping that they would come. No, it's not like we don't try. There are so few going to graduate school that when they want to go into academia, they have so many choices. They're given multiple job offers. So if I can offer anybody a suggestion, go to graduate school, become a faculty member, figure out how to, you know, there's only one way we can get more female faculty, is if we get more females graduating with PhDs in computer science.
This is my first time in the US, or first time in any other countries, and I was coming all alone. But I really appreciate that my family supported me and my friends congratulated me. They were happy for me, and that gave me a lot of strength. Yeah.
So especially if you don't have a lot of computer science background coming in, and even if you do, it can be really easy to get like imposter syndrome, especially because a lot of the people around you, and especially like mostly a lot of men around you, will have had a lot of experience. They maybe have had even internships or like have done projects before getting into college, and it might make you feel like you're behind. But that's like what happened to me. But if you keep going, a lot of the times you'll find that like you can succeed also.
I guess just highlighting more women who are taking these challenging courses or doing really cool internships, and just showing off that women are doing the same thing as guys in the major, and that we're not doing a bad job.
I really do believe the earlier you get into it, the more intuitive it is. My husband, his father teaches computer science, so he learned it when his parents joked that he was typing into the terminal on the computer before he was speaking. And he's one of the most intuitive programmers. Like, I'll go to him saying, oh, I'm having trouble, this isn't working as fast as I think it could, and he's immediately like, oh, have you tried this, have you tried that? So I think it is a different way of thinking, and the earlier you introduce it, the more comfortable you are in it, and more further you can go, probably, even though you can always kind of overcome it by working harder and learning more later.
I don't think there are barriers per se. I think it's a matter of getting students to believe that they can do this sort of work.
I would say that it's not just computer science, right? I think as a society, perhaps the thing that we need to focus on is avoiding gender or any other stereotyping and allow people to find their natural talents.
Yes.
And so I think that's a very hard thing to change, but we as adults need to be doing our best to propagate that notion that talent is, and more than talent, I guess, interests need to be nurtured, and people need to be, allowed to both nurture their talents and do what they find most meaningful and interesting, rather than being stereotyped in different ways.
Not stereotyping is the best thing that they can do. If you see some person, not judging them that what that person might be. When you see a girl and then you not just impose anything on them. If they're going to do something, be more supportive and not bind them with some stereotypical views that they have to work in such some in a certain way and they cannot do anything else. I think not stereotyping would be the best thing.
And if you have a disagreement or you have a point, you need to stand out and speak.
Try different things. Just be really inquisitive and be willing to give it a shot. If you don't like it, then you can move on, try something else. And I think the most important part, though, is you give it a real shot, right? You really think about the space, think much larger about how it's impacting, how that technology is going to impact society.
Talking to other people, you open up and you find solution. So that helped a lot when I reached out to other people, started seeing what they're facing, and they would support you too. So you would know that you are good enough and you can do stuff too, and you start doing it. And that's how you overcome everything.
How do you take this, daisy chaining a computer at 8 years old and knowing how to how to edit videos and install music and software and everything else, to a student who's never had Microsoft Word or had no computers in their high school or anything? How do you bridge that gap? They come to a university like this where there's a lot of people of privilege, and those people of privilege don't have any sense that this kid here is starting from where they were in kindergarten, maybe, and they've got to make it up in that period of time without any family support, without the same kind of money at home that provided them with 4 computers and this and that and every new iPhone. And so how do you make that equal? How do you help? And that's where I feel like the problem is we've got to figure out how do we make that gap close? And so when, kid A crosses the stage and, their parents are all proud and their parents are both PhDs and everything else, and obviously it's a wonderful accomplishment, but it was expected, right? And you get another kid who's first gen and they have never had anybody in their family ever attempt college, and they were like a 2.2 student, right? They walk across that stage, man, that's so much more of an accomplishment from my point of view than the kid who had every privilege in their lives. And I usually whisper something in their ear and say, this is huge. You need to know how huge this is for your family, for your community, for everything.
And some people struggle in the transition. So I really encourage students to, you have that moment where you're like, I don't know if this is the right thing for me, to persist, because I think once you get past some of those intro level courses, you can see that you get really engaged and interested in the specific computer science coursework. And I talked about some of the support structures that we have here at Kearns, but also on this campus to help you get past some of those, I think, feelings of like, I don't know if this is the right thing
it's normal for a lot of people to have difficult transitions to college, but I think mine was, I just didn't expect it to be so hard, I guess. I graduated from a high school that had, like, the class that was supposed to graduate, about half actually graduated, and among that, I was one of the few people to go to a private university. So it was a bit of a culture shock. And I didn't really have the support from family because my parents didn't go to college. And I just found adjusting so difficult. So when I took the Intro CS courses here, I wanted to pursue a CS major, but I thought that, oh, maybe this isn't for me, maybe I'm not really good enough for a CS major, and I ended up dropping it and not seriously pursuing it again until my sophomore year spring semester, which is when I took 172, the data structures course. And even though it was difficult, I found myself enjoying it, and I think I started getting more involved in WiC, Women in Computing. I met a lot of people. It was this beautiful community of all these people who you could really relate to, who originally I felt isolated in my struggles, but I found out that wasn't the case. There were all these people who could relate, who knew what you were going through, who had solutions for you. There were ears to listen to you vent, and everything was great. And overall, I'm not only am I so happy that I went back to CS and I'm pursuing a CS major, but I think I'm more of an inspiration for people back at home. So like my younger brother, he wants to be a CS major, and even my little cousin, she never even knew what computer science was. So she's like, oh, maybe I'll be a software engineer.
Reach back, educate them, talk about, the struggles that you've had, the successes that you've had. Because if every one of us can encourage and bring one more person on board, we'll solve the equity issue pretty easily.